Hi, I'm the Plant Gals, and today I just wanted to talk about some plant supplies that I can't live without. Now, all the videos I see on this type of topic are usually sponsored, and also they're just really unrealistic. You don't need all the things. All of them show you like plant potting mats and stuff like that. A garbage bag works. Like, I'm serious, I'm not overconsumption core when it comes to plants, but there are a few things that I love. They make growing plants easy, and today I'm going to talk about them. Most of the things that I like for plant products are for stability. Now, you don't necessarily need to buy exactly what I've bought, but I like them. They're aesthetic and they're pretty cheap for what they are. But it's basically just going to be a kind of little tutorial day on plant maintenance, because plant maintenance is so important. And yeah, I think a little tutorial is very needed. This is everything you need to know to take care of a plant collection, basically. Starting with what you do when you take a new plant home. Really excited about both of these. I know that I get really excited every time I get new plants. It's because I'm very specific about the plants I buy. I have a rule where I do not buy any plants I already have. So even if I have a really terribly variegated one or an ugly one, I always make sure that I don't get another. These are also from Lace and Leaves in Edmonton. They do ship, so you can go to their website and see what they kind of have going on. This one is a variegated ZZ plant, but I wanted one with marbled variegation because marbled variegation is typically more stable. And so I want a nice big variegated ZZ one day, so that's what I picked. Hot tip about ZZ plants is that people say they thrive on neglect. Nothing thrives on neglect. They can handle neglect, but if you want your nice big beautiful glossy ZZ plant, they can't handle a lot of light, and in the wild they get a lot of light and they do like it. I know that Lace and Leaves does a really good job at pest checking. However, I always check for pests. Sometimes I give them a good rinse. I try not to buy from places that are like more so known for pests, or like hubs for pests. A lot of big box stores can be really bad for that. Sometimes I'll give them a good rinse with water. I especially give them a rinse if they did come from a big box store or something like that. And then I don't do anything. I know that might sound silly. So many people repot their plants when they bring them home. Please do not repot your plants when you bring them home. Right? So most of the time they get shipped to a plant store. I can say this because I've worked at a plant store. They get shipped to a plant store. We unbox them. We get them set up. We rinse them, get them ready to go out on the floor. There's a lot of stress involved. The conditions in the plant store are different from your home. So we really recommend that the journey from the plant store to your house is stressful enough for the plant. Adjusting to your house is stressful enough. Don't repot it. It doesn't need to be repotted. I hear a lot of people say, oh, this grower's soil is really bad, you have to get rid of it as soon as you bring it home. It's really not true. For the most part, these growers want to sell healthy plants that look good, and it doesn't have to do with the soil that they're in. In fact, I never, when I repot things, squish the root ball and break up the roots, because that's also very stressful for the plant. So I recommend to give them 3 to 6 weeks, especially if they're more sensitive plants. You can give them closer to 6 weeks. If there's sturdy, hardy plants like a ZZ plant or the other plant that I got today, then you can repot them in 3 weeks, maybe a little bit sooner, but let them adjust to your home. Please let them acclimate. I know that it might seem weird. You're like, well, it's in the same climate or whatever. Just let them chill. The only exception to this is, of course, import plants. You still need to let those acclimate, but you may have to do some repotting to set them up because they come, you know, with bare roots or just wrapped in moss. So that is the exception. This is not an import acclimation video, although I could do one because I've done lots of that too. If you want an import acclimation video, let me know. But yeah, so these guys, just leave them. Just make sure that they're good to go in your collection. If you're really worried, you can quarantine them. That happens a lot. Otherwise, just leave them. This is the other one I got. This is a Monstera adansonii mint. I really like Monstera adansonii. I think it's extremely underrated. People always grow it along their walls, which I think is pretty, not my style. I like to give them the big massive leaves, grow them up, grow them on a giant pole. So my next project, and this is a narrow form adansonii, so it probably won't look like that one. That's a wide form when they get big like that. But I want to see how big I can get these beautiful minty variegated leaves. This one is so stunning. Monstera adansonii can be a little bit more prone to pests, so you know, if this was coming from somewhere, we'd be a bit more concerned about that. Probably give it a little bit of a better check than other plants, just to make sure that, just flip over the leaves, check where the leaf meets the stem. A lot of bugs like to hang out in there. Bugs mostly target new leaves, so if you see any new growth, you can look at that. yeah, just give it a good once over. If it looks good, you can just stick it where it belongs in your collection. You can also quarantine, up to you. I think that if you have a really big collection, quarantining is likely a good idea. Just keep it in a different part of your house. Even if the conditions aren't perfect for a little bit, keep it separate. If you just keep houseplants and you have them scattered all over your house, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Obviously, you can still have issues, but for bigger plant collections, quarantining is a good idea. Okay, so now we brought our plants home. We're not gonna do anything with these ones, but I have some that I brought home much longer ago and they need some love. Let's start with one. I love this plant. It's so beautiful. This is my Anthurium limisolobum. I don't know if ill-prepared is the right word for this plant. She is just gangly, so I will not even be able to fit this whole plant in the shot, I don't think. Can you see? And she has a floppy stem right now, right? It's gone. So we are gonna fix that today, basically. Now, I don't want this stem to break, so when I take off these, I am going to support it. Now, this is supported with just a chopstick, so I don't have to worry about the roots being rooted into it or anything. It's just plastic. This is a clear stake. I like these because they're aesthetic. Any stick will work, but yeah, one of the number one things I can't live without as a plant parent is sticks and stakes. So this is Velcro tape. The green stuff, you'll see it at pretty much anywhere that sells plant stuff. It is awesome, it's reusable, and I really like anything that's reusable, especially because like once you cut the strips, they're like the perfect size, and they're not just reusable between plants, but when I'm redoing this, as you can see, I took it off of the plant, and then I'm just using the same strips to prop it back up. I don't need to cut more. I use so much of this green tape, but I don't go through it very fast because I just reuse so much of it. The only time that I really need to is when I am doing a new plant that doesn't have any strips on it yet, or it's grown enough that it needs extra strips for support. You want to be gentle when you do this, but you can get a little bit of leverage on the plant to bring it closer to your pole to give it some stability. You don't want to pull it so hard that the stem snaps. I've done that before. If you do it, don't stress, it happens. Just if you can propagate that part, if not, just don't stress. It's something that comes with time, but plants are much stronger than we realize. And so now I'm looking at it and like I can show you. So this is how much it's been staked up now. I think that's about as good as I can get it at the moment. Isn't that easy? That's it. That's all I had to do this plant. It looked terrible before and I was stressed about the stem snapping because it's quite a heavy plant, and now I'm not stressed. I'm not worried. Now, this is a bowl full of tap water. It's just like a regular mixing bowl. I have it maybe like a third full of water. We have to use some moss today. This is sphagnum moss. Will Grow is a great brand. There's a lot of other good brands. If you see it coming in a brick like this and it's coming from a plant store, it's probably good stuff. I really don't recommend the green moss that comes in bricks and things because it's typically been dyed. Sometimes it hasn't, but it's just not what you're looking for. If you're looking for moss bowls, you want to go with sphagnum moss. There's long strand sphagnum moss and there's shorter strand sphagnum moss. I believe this is a longer strand one. I can't remember because it's just going to get stuffed in a pole, so I'm not overly worried about it. I do go through a lot of this because I use it for propagations and I use it for moss poles. So this is a very useful product for me, and I can reuse a lot of it, but eventually you're just stuffing so much of it into moss poles that you need more. So I got a nice big brick of it and it's great. Yes, you can reuse it. I have pulled plants out of moss and stuck other ones right back into my little prop containers and stuff. It goes great. So the next one is, this plant is so stunning. She recently graduated from the cabinet, so please congratulate. This is my Monstera albo. This is a large form Monstera albo, which means that it will get secondary splits. This is the last leaf that it got in the cabinet. You can see that line is where the grow light burnt it, just getting too tall. And she has graduated. She has some browning on her lower leaves. I was able to avoid it for a long time, but it's coming in now, which is totally fine. It happens. And yeah, I have it in this really big pot. This is probably either a 10 or a 12 inch, I don't really know. And as you can see, I actually have some space at the top of this moss pole for a couple reasons. I ran out last time I was filling this pole, but also the plant just hadn't reached this part yet, so I didn't need to fill the pole. Why use more than I have to? The plant has reached this part of the pole now, so it's time to add some moss. If you're a more advanced plant person and you don't want a basics tutorial, you can skip to this video, but I find that we always have so many new people coming to the plant community that explaining even something that might seem basic to us is important, because we didn't know how to do it at one point in time. We were all just figuring it out, and even though we've done it lots, so it seems easy and it might seem straightforward, people who are new to the hobby or who have no exposure, it's probably not easy for them. It's probably overwhelming, even though it's simple. So to my new people, this is what you do. You just grab a bunch of moss from this. It makes a mess, it kind of goes everywhere. You put it in your bowl of water. Now, sphagnum moss, depending on the kind of like purity and the quality, will come with usually some sticks and stuff in it. They're harmless, but they can kind of be ugly, so you can just pull them out. Different brands have different amounts. Some have none. Like I said, they're kind of the more expensive brands, but most brands have some stuff in them. I also do like to break up the clusters a bit, just so it's a little bit more airy. Sometimes you'll get more dense pieces of moss that hold together like this, and you'll feel it in your hands that it's quite dense and almost kind of cardboardy. And I'm just gonna drop it in the top here. This chopstick, see, we're just reusing the chopstick that I just used that was keeping my other little anthurium up for like the last year. I'm just gonna use it to squish all the moss down. You don't have to compact it super tight. You still want it to be loose and airy, because if it's super dense, I mean, honestly, things like Monstera are very strong. It'll push through it no matter what. Even sometimes the Monstera will break these poles. But just keeping it airy is easier. It's kind of better practice. And some of the plants with smaller, less strong roots will appreciate that. Now, these poles take up a lot of moss, so it is a good idea to just kind of stuff them as you go. And that was my chore today for this one. I just had to stuff it more. And then let's kind of see if we can reorganize these straps so that it sits a bit better on the pole. So sometimes you'll see that you have straps that aren't actually even doing anything anymore because the plant has actually stabilized itself. Those are the ones that I usually look for first, where I can tell that when I take off the strap, the plant doesn't move. And with these bigger plants, the newer stems will be easier to move, so it's always a good idea to kind of finagle those around, because those are the ones that you actually have a little bit of control over. And I try to turn, if it has any aerial roots, towards the pole so it can touch the pole. So my goal is to just kind of guide the plant so that it stays growing on the pole. I think that's the only one I'm gonna do. I took off an old one, the plant didn't need it anymore. And then the base of this pole is dry, the plant is a bit dry, so I'll probably water this one later. Okay, so I just grabbed some more plants and let's keep moving. So this one, as you can see, is a variegated micans. This is the newest leaf I got. Beautiful, came in so nice, but it burned. So I decided that I need to take a new course in this plant, because right now I just have it growing up. Sorry, nice big leaves would be nice on this plant. I don't want it getting any closer to light because clearly it's sensitive to it. So we're gonna go with one of these. It's gonna keep it at about the same height it is now, so it might burn a little bit, but I'm actually gonna have it start going back down the trellis. And this one's a long vine, and I'm just gonna let it flop over. I'm not worried about it breaking, so I don't need to support it while I do that, but sometimes it's a very good idea to support it. I'm just gonna squish this into the pot. In a pot this small, it's good for it to hit the bottom. It'll give a little bit more stability. And then I'm just gonna use these same pieces to work its way up. Usually on these ones, there is a bit of an art to it, so I don't go too quickly. And this is a case where I'm going from quite a small one to a bigger one. Another nice thing I use sometimes is butterfly clips. They're so cute. They look great. I also try to avoid pinning the leaves to the stem because, believe it or not, the leaves actually like to move around to the light quite a bit, and I just don't like doing that. So I try to go between where the leaf is and the stem. That'll actually also give it stability. So that's that. You can see I've curved the tip of the plant, so it's gonna start growing down hopefully. But these stems are really flexible, so they kind of just do whatever you want. You don't have to stress too much about curving them in the right direction. I really love my little variegated micans. It's been really stable for me. This is a beautiful plant. And yeah, hopefully this gives it a little bit more stability and it's happy. It continues to put out variegated leaves for me. the stability has nothing to do with whether it puts out variegated leaves or not. I just hope it does that. This plant looks taller than it is. So this is the leaf here, but this is actually where the node is. So the plant is only to about here on the pole right now. So it still has a lot of room to go. I was debating sizing it up, but this will actually be perfect. This is my philodendron serpens squamacol, something like that. It's one of the two. It doesn't really look like a serpens up close, but it also doesn't really look like a squamacol. So I think it's either like a dark form of serpens or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't even really matter because we're not studying it or anything, so we don't have to identify it. Sometimes little hairs get little dirt and stuff in them, so. But yeah, this plant has been very floppy. I've been using the wall of my cabinet to keep it stabilized. So it's really nice to finally be able to do this. This is just easy. You just take your tape, work your way up the plant. You don't have to tie every node up. Just kind of feel out where it starts to stabilize. And then, oh yeah, so this one actually has a very strong stem. So and a lot of philodendron are like this. So I want to be smarter about how I tape it because I do not want to break the stem. And that's gonna be it. Simple. This is my begonia dregi or partita. It flowers constantly. It's so much bigger than the way I got it. And it's actually really cool because it's a woody begonia. The problem is, as you can see, these, I'm going to let it flop. I'm really hoping I don't get any stem breakage, but it is possible. I guess I could try and figure out how to propagate this if that happened. We're gonna grab this trellis. And before I was just trying to stick it to one spot, that chopstick in the middle, and it just wasn't working. So we're gonna go with a trellis so that I at least have two different points that I can secure it to, and that'll hopefully give me more stability. This is my begonia dregi partita now that she has been staked on a trellis. Even though this isn't a conventional use for a trellis, this worked way better, way easier, and I think that it'll be actually happier. My little Hoya Caricia silver, recently got her. She's growing so fast. I'm not entirely sure. Most of the time I put my Hoyas on a trellis, but this one, these ones with the thicker stems, it might just be better for it to grow up for now. And I can play around with it later. It's growing really fast. It didn't even have these leaves when I got it. It was only the two at the bottom and a tiny little stem. I just gently wiggled it in. And this one might need like one piece of plant Velcro tape, but it's still very short for the pole. I just want to get it started on its journey early. Wow. Easiest tutorial ever. Also, this will be a little bit top heavy now, so if you do that, just be careful in these lighter plants. So on to repotting. I've really been loving this brand, My Soil. I didn't see it around until about a year ago-ish. Could be an ish me, but I really like it. I find that I really don't need to add any amendments to it for a tropical plant mix. I really like using soil. I do not like using soilless mixes. They dry out way too fast. They can be very hard to maintain. And while they may promote more healthy root growth and less rot with your plants, you have to be watering them a lot, which I may be the plant gals, but I don't grow a lot of alocasia, and they tend to give me a little bit of anxiety because they don't like to dry out. Now this one is doing great. She's very healthy. She came from the last Aeroid show that I was at. Looking stunning, has put out 2 new leaves since I've got her. Is holding on to how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves right now, which is a lot for alocasia. Usually they're like 2 leaves, maybe 1. So I'm really happy with it, but it's gonna start drying out faster because it's really rooted in this pot, and alocasia don't like to dry out, so that's the perfect time to repot something. So I'm literally just, and alocasia can also have a little, depending on the maturity of the plant, the roots can be a little bit more sensitive, so just keep that in mind. Once again, do not break up the root ball. Do not. I used to tell people this might sound awful, but like when you break up the root ball, like imagine it like somebody like broke your arms and legs and stuck you in a new house, and you have to just like adjust. It's a lot because breaking up the root ball does damage the roots. It might, you know, might not break the big ones, although sometimes that happens too, but there's little ones that are very small and very necessary for the plant that you will probably break. Now this plant is not super stabilized in this pot, so I know that if I am not careful, the entire thing will just break off of its roots. So I want to be mindful of that. Alocasia very regularly kill off old leaves. Once they're like this, you can just pluck them off. I don't take them off until they have completely dried out, because alocasia are a type of plant where they kill off an old leaf to suck up the energy to use it for a new leaf. So even if the leaf looks kind of sad, it's killing it off yellow, it's taking nutrients from it so that it can use it. It's a tactical strategy for the plant. So don't take it off. I take off leaves like if my plant were to have pests or something and there's obviously like pests on the leaves, I would take it off. And there's lots of plants where you can just pull them off before. But alocasia, because of the way they grow, and anthurium, I really just like to let the leaf get crispy before I pull it off. And it's actually more stable in this pot because I can push down the soil. It actually looks a lot better, like way better than it did. This looks nice. Perfect. I was debating staking this. You can. The only thing is, like I said, I would only be staking it because it's just not a super stable plant. But just applying some pressure and letting the soil do the work can do a lot. Because before it was literally falling over the place. I didn't because I was very nervous it would break. But now she's much more stable and she looks great. That's it. That's all there is to repotting. And so this one I got about 3 weeks ago. So I'm kind of just at the limit. But because I know with alocasia that they don't like to dry out and I'm a little bit not great with them, I repotted it quickly. But typically I recommend to wait a little bit longer for alocasia. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but I know myself with plants and I know that this one needed to be repotted in order for me to keep it alive. And it's important I keep it alive because it's a gift. This is my oxalis. This is my Tim Hortons pot. It still has sprinkles and Timbits in it. So I'm gonna rinse it out and then I'm gonna put holes in it. There's a few different ways you can put holes in it. I have a soldering iron and I really like that. I use it for my isopod bins too, because you can just put the holes in really fast. You go, puts them in. You can also just stab holes in the bottom. They don't have to be pretty. They don't have to be aesthetic. You can just stab a hole in. That's what I do sometimes too, because why stress? So yeah, I'm gonna stab some holes in this or solder some and I'm gonna give it a good rinse and then I'm gonna come back. Okay, so I have stabbed, it's dirty because there's dirt on the table, but I have stabbed holes in this pot. Check it out. Hot tip, if you're using something sharp to put a hole in and you find that the edges are kind of ugly, you can use something like a chopstick. Put it through the hole you just made and wiggle it. It'll stretch out the hole. And if there's any sharp edges or anything, it'll fold them back. It might seem really silly, but it works really well. So yeah, holes in the pot. And this guy's going in. Now these really don't like to dry out. They just kill off all their leaves when they dry out. So while I typically would recommend something smaller for a pot, not necessarily, the width isn't necessarily bad, but these are really deep. I know that anthurium growers really like deep pots. So I feel like anthurium lovers may like the Tim Hortons bucket. So yeah, I either use things that like will benefit from being in a deep pot, things that don't like to dry out as much. Something that's already in a similar size pot to this, it's just deeper so it has more room for the roots. But in this case, this plant doesn't like to dry out. I keep letting it dry out too much. So it's just getting a nice big pot that will stay wetter longer. Because right now it's drying out like every 3 days, and that's way too much. For those little roots, she's happy, and I just make a little hole, put it in, so that I can put soil around the base, so it's nice and solid in there. And yes, I'm getting soil everywhere. I'm doing this on a tablecloth, so afterwards I'm literally just gonna grab the tablecloth and either shake it into my garbage or shake it outside. And once again, this is not a plant that needs to be stabilized, right? Like, this one is just leaves coming out of a little kind of corm or some sort of similar thing in the soil, and so she can flop all over the place. This one looks really nice in this pot. Like, this is very, very cute. I'm really happy that I chose this one because it's very hard every year to decide which plant to put into my Halloween pots because I only have so many of them from Tim Hortons. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to do today. I know that it's really easy and very simple, but there are ways that you can do it that can make things easier for your plants, easier for how you take care of them, and everything looks great. So we'll just run through everything once more. Of course, this is our oxalis. It's just a purple oxalis in my Tim Hortons bucket that glows in the dark. I repotted. This is my, oh, it'll say on the pot, my Alocasia Wenti Pink Variegata. This guy, very simple, just a little preemptive stake. Once again, those ones can be top heavy when they're a little bit like that with a stake, so just be careful. The Begonia Dregi was put on a U-shaped pole to stabilize her, and she looks fantastic, so much better than before, and isn't all like a million pieces of tape desperately squishing something together. My Philodendron Micans is variegated. U-shaped trellis, looking so stunning. My Philodendron Serpens, Squamacol, whichever, so good. Not floppy anymore, don't need this out of my cabinet to stabilize it. Oh, this one doesn't really look much different, but I don't have to worry about the stem breaking. Oh, the newest leaf on it's really cool also. Hold on. It's of course the hardest one. Look, it's backwards right now, but look at the lobes on this. I can't turn it around. Maybe this way? I can't. Oh, look at the crazy lobes. This one's going very lobe heavy. Oh. And then, of course, my Monstera Albo. So beautiful. I know that it's basic of me to love albos so much, but this one just has such nice variegation. And albos are very timeless. And then look at this leaf. This, when I bought it, this was the first new leaf that I got. And then this one, I think, was the newest leaf that came with it. So yeah, check it. These are all the plants that I did work on today. Little things like that can help your plant care so much and can help the look of your plants. That's literally everything I've done today, so thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I have to go water these, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!